So I want to tell you about a reading that I gave today. So here I am in my studio. I was able to provide one reading today. It just kind of fit in my schedule as it was. And as I sat down with the woman, this is what happens. Her people that are watching over her come through. They explain to me what she's about, what she's done, and like I tell many people, when I sit down with folks in this position, I basically become a bullshit hunter. If you've got bullshit in your heart or bullshit in your life, Spirit is going to see this as an opportunity to walk you towards peace, because that's what people who love you want for you. That increases when we move into Spirit. So I sat with this woman, and this is what I told her. She had a hard time relating to this. I was like, you're perfect. This is what they're telling me. Like, you're perfect as a human being could be, in the way that she's working hard. She's taking care of her people. She's raised great kids. She's got a career. She's checked off all the boxes. She's an honorable person of integrity, hard work, and devotion to her family and to higher values. They celebrated her for this, and for many reasons, because, karmically, if she wasn't this, she would have raised kids that were problematic, rippling, the ripple effect through the generations. She's a good, decent, hardworking person. She's raised people that are like that. When she passes away, she gets to see the efforts of her life, what that's meant to her and her family. And that's what her people were celebrating for her. But here's where she was in a pickle. She's in a pickle. And I love this about what I do, is I was able to tell her this before she could even validate. They told me that she was bored, that she lacked, a certain level of passion. Essentially, the analogy that I could use is that she's Dorothy in Kansas, and they wanted to bring her to Oz. Now, she'd done everything that she should. She took care of her people, she takes care of her loved ones, she's checked off all the boxes in terms of responsibilities and duties. But she's bored. She's not enjoying this world as much as she possibly could. And I was able to tell her that her passions, I was able to tell her all of the things that she liked, I was able to tell her all of the things where she was missing out. And she's like, I know, I'm thinking about this. I'm thinking about it all the time. And I'm like, I'm not sure you're thinking about it. I think you're receiving it. So a message to you, and I want to make sure that you know this, because this is how all of our ancestors and beloved dead speak to us, is that they talk to us through our faculty of feeling. Like, we're going to get a message through our intuitive, emotional side. It takes about a half second before our rational, intellectual side kicks in, translates what we're receiving, and our voice happens to us all, just some of us more than others. Now, I had to remind her that she lives in 2026. She comes from people, and these were these French Canadian Catholics, right? that, they lived in poverty. They lived in a time where they didn't have vehicles, where they didn't have the internet, we all come from people, no matter where they come from, whose rags were sacred to them. They couldn't just spin to Walmart or Target and buy a new box of rags, new sponges. They had to preserve their rags. So keep yourself humble, right? We all come from those people, no matter what. But those people who passed away so long ago, those ones that struggled to get us to a better world, well, as problematic and weird as our current times are, we still are in a great world. If you're privileged enough to have vehicles or internet access or, a little time off, if you've positioned yourself in this place where you can go adventure for a little bit, you absolutely should. You should, because this woman, and I know that there's a lot of people out there like this woman did everything that she was taught she should. Had a great family, she wanted a family, had a great family, raised great kids. Now she's like the fun grandma, all of that, but she's like bored. Okay, if you're somebody who can relate to that, well, here's a reminder. Get creative. Remember the world you live in. Remember the world you live in that your ancestors would want you to take advantage of. The one that, as, again, problematic as it is, we have so much. Now, you might not have a vehicle, but can you take a walk down the road? Can you appreciate the forest or the trees or the cemeteries or the buildings that you're near? I think in this world, we get so desensitized to the wonder of everything around us. For me, I don't, because I've just talked to way too many dead people who are like, you better appreciate your life while you have it, because we didn't appreciate what we had. So I know that we live in a beautiful world. I do. I see it every single day, and I try to remember that. I try to remain grateful, and I try to remain adventurous. So think about your spirit of adventure. Like this woman, I was like, they want you to go riding horses. Oh, we love horses. Haven't done it in forever. Okay, can you afford to do it? Absolutely. Have you done it? No. But should you? Yes. Go ride some horses. Remember, like, just what a little bit of a road trip could do. You don't have to go to Italy or France or Greece. You don't have to do the big trips all the time. Go to a part of the town over that you've never been to. You live in the age of Google. Type into Google, hey, Google, show me 3 things in a 1-hour drive that are amazing for me to check out. Think of what we have that we're just not using. And just remember that you have this life that is a gift from creation, God, spirit. And I'm a firm believer that when we live fully, when we live full of color and zest and va-va-va-voom, we are honoring the creative force of our universe. We are. Because, that's what a parent wants for a child. What does a healthy parent want for a child? Adventure, love, abundance, joy. And when we find that for ourselves, we're delighting the essence of the universe that is our parent, that is the force that put us here. So, just try to think of it like that. Try to think of it like that. And now, here we go. I'm going to give us 3 tarot cards. I'm going to do this in the snapshot format. The card that represents who we are. The card that represents what challenges us. The card that represents what is our guidance, what heals and reveals. So if you find yourself bored in this world, here we are. These tarot cards are for you. Knight of Pentacles. See? Duty. Whenever a knight shows up, this is where you're at. Whenever a knight shows up, they're always a person of honor, integrity, and devotion. Now, people can read the different knights in tarot differently, but I always seem to remember, well, they wouldn't be a knight if they weren't honorable. If they weren't honorable, or they weren't a person of devotion to higher values. But they're just so focused on the earth, right? They're so focused. The garden is barren. They're not moving. In the positive aspect, this is like the steady Eddie, the steady Betty, the person who cannot be moved, right? It's kind of patience or slow energy. But look at you, bored, not moving. Just focused, focused. Here's duty. Well, where's the play? Okay. So if you're bored because you've done everything right, that card makes a ton of sense. Now let's take a look at the card that vexes and perplexes you. The King of Wands. Well, this is passion, right? This is fire. This is pizzazz. This is like Frank Sinatra energy. My husband calls me the King of Wands. This is big stick energy, if you will. This is the person that is like, like it's just fire. It's expansive. It's Leo energy. It's like, rah, the world is my oyster. I don't find myself bored very often because I know that life is far too short to be bored. So I try to have fun. I try to find my vitamin joy. I try to get joy in like a vitamin. But here is what challenges us, the ability to be like Frank Sinatra, to find that passion, to find that zest, the zest. Okay. This is why, like, give me the tattoos, right? Give me the tattoos, because this body is not going to be around forever. My life isn't going to be around forever. I'm going to do what I can to enjoy it while I'm here. The person who's bored has forgotten that. Now let's take a look at the card that heals and reveals. Temperance. You got to make change happen. So this is change. This is, keeping one foot on earth, one foot in water. So balanced in like earthly stuff like that pentacle, and then balanced in the water, the movement, the creative, the flow. But here we are taking one or two things, transforming them, mixing them together. It's like the cocktail mixer, we're taking these things, we're putting them together, we're shaking them up, and we're making something different. So let's make something different. Be creative, be creative. Now, when I sat with this woman, I had to tell her what the secret to life is. And this is something that I tell all my clients. The secret to life is always answering the question, well, what would you tell your child? And I walked her through my 3 main questions. Think about what you don't like about your body. What would you tell your child if they felt that same way? Think about your biggest regrets, shames, or guilts. Well, what would you tell your child if they felt that way about that circumstance? Tap into the part of yourself that is your divine soul. And you can do that by going, what would I tell my loved one, my child, my best friend, my sibling? But then I asked her, I said, put into your mind, what your biggest problem in life is right now. And she did, and it was related to this sense of boredom. And I said, well, what would you tell your kid? Exactly what she needed to tell herself. Find some creativity. Take it one step at a time. Don't get caught up in the big picture. Don't feel like every day has to be a trip to Italy, because it can't be, not realistically. But find that sense of adventure. Take it easy. Be gentle on yourself. Find that joy before it's too late. So, she walked out of here. She was like, yes, this is the way I needed to be thinking. This is what I came to you for. It was such a great scenario for her, especially when she's leaving this place. She's like, I got what I needed. She didn't have to tell me what it was. Spirit told me what it was. And if you find yourself bored, I want you to take a page out of her book. Now, part of that reading was like, hey, remember those ancestors behind you, the ones who struggled to get you here. Remember that when you honor this life, when you're living fully in this life, then you're honoring all their struggles to get you here. So I have 4 grandparents behind me who struggled as farmers to make sure that I could be here at this day. I'm not going to dishonor them by being bored. And that doesn't necessarily mean you need a ton of money to find adventure. No, like this town right here that our little shop's in, man, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful day. There's walking paths. There's no need to just go to work, go home, go to work, go home. Variety is the spice of life. So all my love to you, remember that your eternal soul, your divine essence, has a level of creativity because it's a level of the creator. Like, you are literally part of the creator. Why would you be bored? And in fact, maybe our whole journey here, our whole life here, is so creation isn't bored. You ever think about that? I bet you haven't. So all my love to you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the opportunity to watch us and go find yourself some adventure. All my love to you. Find my books, my podcasts, my readings on my website at joshsimons.com.